But why don't we begin the meeting? Steve has asked me to chair today, and we'll do a call to order by roll call vote. So Cindy,
Cindy Matheson, present.
Rob Henry,
Rob Henry here.
and Rob Jeffers,
Rob Jeffers here.
and Ted Carr here. Oh, and here comes David Pfeiffer. Hold on, we'll give him 1 second.
Hey, folks.
Hey, David, how are you? And we're just taking a roll call, David. So Rob, and Cindy and I are here. Steve is away. And finishing up, David Pfeiffer.
David Pfeiffer is present.
All right, very good. So just to go over the agenda, everybody, we're going to have a financial update. Then we're going to have the opportunity to go into an executive session. Then we're going to re-enter into public session for any public comment not on the agenda. We have an opportunity to discuss and vote for a donation, which we've committed to for $75,000 to Habitat for Humanity. And then Rob and I will give an update on our property at 43 Elm Street. And then we'll go through some other housekeeping items. And then if there's anything else that comes up, we can do that. So if that's acceptable to everybody, why don't we go to the next item on the agenda, which is a financial update. Let's see, who wants it? Is that Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, thank you for having me. I sent an email yesterday to Cassandra, and I think she forwarded it to the rest of the members of the committee.
Right.
So what I've done is I've taken your cash balance in the Affordable Housing Trust, and I've minused out any projects that have been voted but not expended. And you would see that in the email that was sent out. So that gives you a balance in the Affordable Housing Trust of $1,201,376. Does anybody have any
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm looking for that, but and maybe Jennifer, you can ask, you could let us know sort of quickly. So I think we have a donation of 75,000 for Habitat. We took a we took it, but to have not expended it, and we're going to vote it today. And then we reallocated that also to that was $5,000 to the Habitat project as well. That's when they filmed the movie Fletch here, and so in lieu of permits, I think they gave a donation to a couple of groups. We got one of them, does anybody see this item? Go ahead, Cindy.
Ted, in the email chain from Jennifer and Cassandra noted the 3 donations that we have outstanding: 15,000 to 147 Main Street, 75,000 to 808 Jerusalem, and up to 10,000 at this point for 43 Elm Street. So does that count for the deductions that you took out, Jennifer?
Yes.
So that's the net after you take those out.
Right.
We have 1201. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And do we have the details of, or maybe that's what we're going to go over, of how that's invested?
Yeah, I'm not ready to talk about that right now. I'll have our investment advisor come in. We'll set up a special meeting for that. If you want to look exactly of the breakdown of the investment. I've just been busy with year end, and I'm going to have our Bartholomew come in, and they can go over that with you.
So do they provide regular statements?
Yes, they do. I can give you a copy of their most recent statement. It's invested with a lot of other trust funds, though I haven't really looked at the breakdown, because so our monies that are invested for the long term in the trusts, and actually what I'll do is when we go over that, I'll have our treasurer Linda Cole come in, and she can go over that with you as well.
So it's in a commingled account with other entities?
I don't know. I don't have it in front of me. I can't really answer those questions right now.
Okay.
We can set up another meeting to go over your investments. I will tell you though, up until about 6 months ago, it was just invested as general fund cash. And so we moved it to a trust fund investment, and we can give you the details of that, but it really should be in a separate meeting.
Okay, I mean, I think the main thing I'm concerned about is how much is in cash and what is that cash invested in? I just want to make sure that we're getting, we should be getting 4 or 5% on our cash. So if we could have a meeting just to see what it's a statement, I think that would be great.
Yep, I will include Linda Cole in this and, you can set up a meeting with her and she can go over it with you.
So is all 1201 now in the trust, you're saying, or is some of it
Yes.
with the trust? And okay, so
Yes, we've moved all the money into a long-term investment account. Before it was in general fund cash.
okay.
What you're saying is it's all under our control in that sense, right? It's all a part of the Affordable Housing Trust account,
It's under the Affordable Housing Trust account, yes.
and you don't know what account this is?
It's invested in Bartholomew. So let me just back up a minute. When I was asked to come to the meeting, I was asked to give a cash balance. I wasn't asked to give an investment summary. And we did talk about this before. So the Affordable Housing Trust has always been invested in general fund cash. It's just been sitting in a bank account getting bank interest, right?
Yep.
So we noticed that because it's the trust fund, it should be moved in with our other trust funds. So we moved it into a separate trust account under our investment advisors, and Bartholomew is our investment advisor and actually manages the funds according to the investment statement. So again, I can have them come in with the treasurer and talk to you about how these investments are and how they're broken down. I wasn't prepared to discuss this today. I was only asked to come in and give a cash balance.
Okay, so can we do that is it reasonable to do that for next meeting?
I will talk to the treasurer and make sure she's available.
So Jennifer, just to recap on that, our next meeting is at the same time on October the 11th of this year. So
Okay, I will talk to the treasurer.
We'd love to kindly invite anybody that would like to join us to give us some of the answers to this question
Yep.
on October the 11th.
Yeah, and if they can, before October 11th, if they could provide us with the most recent statement, so that we can be prepared for the meeting. If we
Sure.
have any questions, that would be awesome.
Sure,
Yeah,
no problem at all.
And Jennifer, I understand that you don't have the information and why and all that, but we have all this money, and if it's just sitting in cash, it's where we get in the bank, we're getting 0.5%, where, like Rob said, we could do. Right now, things are, I just, the longer we wait to.
No,
she's already
it's
moved
not
it.
sitting in cash anymore. I just want to clarify. So my department has been new in the last year, right? The little over last year, we're all new. And so we're uncovering certain things. And this is something we uncovered about 6 or 8 months ago, where it's the Affordable Housing Trust and it should be invested for the long term. It should be invested differently. So we moved it into a trust fund. At the last meeting, I think you all sent me the statement of how actually your committee is in charge of how we invest that. But I don't think anybody's ever engaged your committee on the investments before. So we're just trying to catch up. And so we want to adhere to the way it's supposed to be, if you will. So it's out of the bank account, and we just need to, start reporting to you how it's invested. And then, you sent us the documentation, and you do have a vote on how, if you want to make decisions on how that's invested, and we will get going with that at the next meeting. I wasn't asked to do that at this meeting.
Understood.
Can I make a suggestion? Jennifer, thank you very much. Can I make a suggestion? Maybe could we think about with the members just a subcommittee that might be able to focus on this aspects? Anybody interested in doing that?
I'd be happy to.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I think
okay. Maybe I see just 2 members there. If it would be acceptable to everybody, do you think Rob and David might just work with the town on these as a subcommittee of our group, just to focus on finances?
I think it's an excellent suggestion, because I think this is a critical aspect of what we do. We have this money and, you
Yep.
know, it's been sitting around for as long as we've had it.
Yep, and we have about a month, and I think that's a great leeway to sort of get our act together around the finances, and this is wonderful that Jennifer and her team are helping to focus on this. This is great.
Yeah, and thank you, Jennifer, for getting it out of the no interest savings. So I'm sure it's better off than where we would have been. So we do appreciate that.
You're welcome. Can you hear me? I don't know why my
Yep.
video just went blank. There
Yeah,
we
we
go.
can.
Okay.
There you go. You're back.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I'll speak with the treasurer and we'll make sure we get you all that information and be ready for next meeting.
Awesome.
Okay. And
Okay.
so Jennifer, we have established a subcommittee of our group that's David Pfeiffer and Rob Jeffers, and they will focus on the financing for the Affordable Housing Touch. So they'll be in touch directly
Okay,
on
great.
anything you need from us.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. Have a great day. Thank
Yeah,
you
you
for
too.
joining us.
All right, thanks.
So next, everybody, okay, great. Thanks. So next, we're gonna go into executive session, everybody, under the Mass General Law. There are a few permissible reasons that we can go into executive session. So this reason is reason number 6. It pertains to the consideration of purchase, exchange, lease of value of real estate property, as the chair declares. So I think that's the best way to do that, unless our fabulous guest, Chris Singer, would like to do it in open session. We'll go into executive session. Okay, so let's roll call the committee then, if we could, on going into executive session. So Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, aye.
great, Rob Henry,
Bob Henry, aye.
David Pfeiffer,
David Piper, aye.
and Rob Jeffers, if you want to wave or something there.
Rob Jeffers, aye.
Okay, great. And then folks, after that, we will re-enter into public session for the remainder of our agenda. With that, we will go into executive session now and okay, so welcome back, everybody. We have just concluded an executive session under permissible reason number 6 pertaining to real estate. We're coming back into public session on today's Wednesday, September 13th meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust. I don't think we have any questions, but just on our agenda, so we can stick with this. Is there any public comment on any item not on this agenda? Okay, great. If I could just then ask, why don't we just rotate these next 2 items? Let's first do an update on our acquired property at 43 Elm Street, which is unit number 2. And we welcome Paul Kearse to our meeting. Paul, sorry to keep you waiting. We had a robust discussion with the town on another matter.
Oh, no problem.
So thank you for your patience. So what we'll do is we'll go now to an update on 43 Elm Street. Let's see, Rob Henry, do you want to just give an update? Great. Okay.
Yeah, the update there is that we got the unit all cleaned out to make it more presentable, so we could have contractors come in and look at it and make bids on the project. So the good news is the fact that we hired a couple of guys that did a good job on the clean out, and instead of we had a budget could go up to $10,000, and these guys did it for $2,475. So that means that there's a good start on the project there. We've talked to one contractor who has bid on the job, and we're in the process of evaluating the bid right now. And we're also we've had one other guy interested. So under the terms of what we're trying to do, we need to have at least 3 people look at this property and see if they will make a bid or not. So hopefully by next meeting, we'll have a bid and be able to say we've awarded the bid to our contractor so they can begin doing the construction. And basically, again, for everybody's information, it's really a total cosmetic, and then new kitchen cabinets, I got to paint everything. We took all that old dirty carpeting out, so we're going to carpeting, also there's one appliance we can keep. And we've got to look at a couple other appliances to replace in there. So it's just, the place was just really in shambles. And so that it's going to be a little more costly, but within a budget that we know we can meet to make this presentable to offer for sale.
I'd also add, if anybody would like to come see the unit, Cassandra, Rob, and I all have keys at the moment. And so we're very glad to take anybody through the unit at a time convenient for you.
Has anyone talked to the town about relieving the ownership of the foundation or the basement that is currently owned by the sewer department?
What'd you say? I know what you're talking about, but you said talk to them about what? The town about what?
The property at 43 Elm.
Yeah.
I believe that the town still owns the basement.
No, not the whole basement, because most of the basement is just for the 2 units there. That's where the electrical is, where the, where the boiler is and stuff like that. There is a kind of a condo situation there in terms of a payment, and so that includes repairs and things to the building, which would not necessarily be the responsibility of the town. It would be the responsibility of 2 owners, because the first floor is owned by somebody, and we're looking to have an owner for the second floor, not a renter.
Okay.
Yes, let me see if I'm interpreting, Paul, but and I wasn't aware, are you saying that the town owns part of this building?
They do.
Also?
And
Okay.
it's specific to the sewer department. I believe we use it for storage.
It's a storage. It's about a third of the basement is. I don't know if they still use it, but it was part of the town.
So,
But I'm not
You know,
sure.
my-
I'm not sure. Are you saying that they own that, or
Cassandra, any thoughts here?
yeah, so my only thought is to see if we could relieve the town of ownership of that in lieu of getting both units on the list. Is that possible, Cassandra? I had talked to Habitat for Humanity about this a couple of years ago. Rob Jeffers was part of that group. They were trying to convert some property in Hingham first that had already gone through the process. They told us trying to convert both of these after ownership had already occurred was a harder thing to do. So we kind of put it on a back burner. So, knowing that the town still has part ownership in it, that may be an opportunity for us to kind of relieve the town of the ownership of that and get 2 housing units out of it. I don't know if that's possible.
we already? What do you mean more than the 2 we have?
I'm not sure how having the basement portion.
Nothing. They can't do anything down there. I mean, there's 2.
No, I
units
think
now.
you're talking about unit number 1, the first floor of the building.
No, he's talking about a small storage area that's in the basement. It's not a unit. It's
In the
Right, it's not a
base.
unit, right?
Okay,
But the town still owns it.
Yeah,
Correct.
it can't be more than 4 by 6 or 6 by 6. It's about a third of what the basement is, and the basement is being utilized now a little bit for storage of the homeowner. But as I say, it's the base of where the electrical is and the heating system and everything else.
I think, Paul, what are you trying to say is that if we were able, this obviously wouldn't create new units, but there's 2 units there owned by Habitat that do not count on our inventory because they weren't converted at the time. And Paul, are you saying that perhaps if we could change the ownership of this, it would trigger an opportunity to change, and get it onto the rolls of affordable housing?
Correct. And relieve the town from any ownership in the building. Just
Right.
keep it clean, wipe it clean.
Really just the background so people know is these were these were done, but when they were done, they weren't put onto the roll. This doesn't count as our housing inventory list. So even though they are affordable in the real world, and they're managed that way, they don't count because of a nuance in the way that they were set up. So there might be an opportunity to do that. So I would think, Paul, if the Affordable Housing Steering Committee could come up with like, yeah, here's the path, and what then you come back to us if there's something we could do to make it happen, then we could do that.
Okay,
Isn't this unit that we're renovating, isn't this slated to be a affordable housing unit?
Yes,
So, and the first floor, the people there have owned it for 20 years and they wouldn't even qualify for
Hmm.
affordable housing.
So it might not work. Yeah.
I mean, the big thing, there is somebody who wants to do it and they may qualify as affordable, but we can't just let them get into it until we've gone through the whole process. And I'm not going to, right now, since it can't necessarily happen, I'm not going to name who the people are.
can I make a suggestion? Maybe let's just explore. I love the concept of it, if it's possible to clean it up and get credit for 2 units there, great. Maybe let's, maybe on our end, could I work with Cassandra and our attorney to just sort of see what's possible, and maybe Paul and your wonderful team could do a little research and let's see if this is even possible.
yeah, now's the opportunity because you have one vacant unit, right?
We have, the one we own is vacant. Yeah,
Yep.
the one below, unit 1 is occupied and has been by the same family for 20 years.
And they're not affordable. They would not be considered affordable, in the.
But I think the unit's deed restricted regardless of their income.
I mean,
Okay.
there's no question that this unit that we own is going to be under the affordable housing.
Well,
Correct.
it will be deeded.
Yeah.
Yes, so unit 2 is going to be applied to count towards the SHI, unit 2 only. Whereas it's going to be an ownership, you're not gonna gain an additional unit because it's in the same building. It would need to be a rental in order to do that. Does that make sense?
Right.
But we're going through this, it can't be affordable if somebody buys it, we have to.
No. Unit 2 can,
No, yeah,
but
yeah.
unit 1, which is already occupied and
Right.
owned.
Yeah.
Because unit 2 is going to be owned, unit 1 will not count
No,
as
and
the SHI.
we knew that up front when we started all this, yeah.
Correct.
They could volunteer to deed their property and still remain as owners, just that when they sell it, it would be deed restricted to that income level to be an owner.
But I have interviewed the homeowner, and there's certainly no immediate thought of leaving that unit. They love it. They love being in town and all that. So I think that's really feasible at this point.
All righty, Ted, what's next on the agenda? I think we got killed this one.
All right, great. So next, let's see, Paul Kears, anything else from the steering committee? While we have you.
Yeah, so yeah, you had me on the agenda for, I guess, an update. So obviously, we're looking at, 1 Pleasant Street because we're counting on 14 units over there. And so that's one area that we're looking at, counting on. The one down at 147 147 Main, I think is the number, the 3 units with the garage that burnt down, that should be coming up online at some point here. And then our other big one was 55 South Main, which is the gas station being converted into, I think, 12 apartments. And they opted for off-site units, not on-site. But we were told in a public meeting that that property is being foreclosed on, and that there'll be a public auction on it. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that was told to us during one of the public meetings. So we don't know where that property stands. If the planning board approved the building, and the units. And it had a 1-year caveat to have the housing decision made offsite. If not, they would have to go back to the planning board, and more than likely go on site. So we don't know where the current ownership stands in any decision-making process there. I know that Cindy and I did a kind of a PSA video the other day for the town on what the affordable housing units at One Pleasant Street would mean for the town. And we also discussed it being workforce housing as well, which is a little different than we've talked about in the past. We've always talked about the straight up affordable housing, but we talked about workforce housing as well. So we don't, when they're going to promote those announcements, they talked about putting it on social media in the next couple of weeks or so. I'm not sure.
We brought that up. Can you speak a little bit to the how to manage and the NeighborWorks folks that you're familiar with?
Yeah, so in my travels in the past number of years, I look to get some veterans housing in Cohasset. And one of the folks that are kind of in that business is NeighborWorks. Rob Corley is the gentleman that was heading that up. And I work with Mass Housing as well directly on how we could put something together with workforce housing as well. And they do both. We did an on-site visit of a project that they did in Quincy, which is right at the Quincy shipyard. If you go over the bridge around the rotary and you take your first left, the old General Dynamics office building is now condominiums. I don't know, a couple hundred of them there.
Oh, wow.
And so what they did was they took a third of it and made it a market rate. Another third is workforce housing, and the final third of it was affordable housing. And it was a huge project. It was really supported by the state and the city of Quincy. And of course, all of the nonprofits are the ones that, really dug in and made it happen. So Steve Gomer, myself, and Jack Coniley, who was a selectman at the time, we had a meeting down there to kind of get an understanding of how the project works and how you would go about doing workforce housing and veterans housing. So they're pretty good at it. We talked about some private property in Cohasset that was a multifamily. We looked at converting that to affordable housing, and there was some deed restrictions and some ownership restrictions that would apply to something like that. So I'm kind of familiar with that type of process as well. So if somebody was owning property but wanted to have it managed at housing, there is a path to do that. But ownership has to kind of give some concessions on the property as well. So it's kind of a two-way street there. So that's possible as well. We went through that with the folks over there at NeighborWorks as well. I haven't talked to him in about a year or so, but I can certainly reach out to him and re-engage him on the conversation of how they could participate in some type of ownership of workforce housing and affordable housing in the town.
I think, so we did recently understand, Paul, that the town is looking for a universe of folks like that could help with this. So
Yeah.
I think maybe could I ask maybe with Cassandra's help that we make sure we put them on the list? This sounds like a real great solution to talk to some people about it. So I
So
think that
Rob, I don't know if you remember, we kind of got into discussion a number of years ago because I think it was either Norwell or Hanover who converted the police station into affordable housing units. And they were a big part of that. So there was kind of a big thing, everyone was, of course, all the elected officials were there for the photo shoot, but NeighborWorks was behind a lot of that as well. So there's quite a number of agencies that worked on that to make it happen. So that was kind of one of the models that we took a look at.
okay, that sounds great. All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Kears?
Oh, one quick, Paul, do we have any news on when the census data is gonna come out that will say most likely that we're under 10% as of 2020?
So Cassandra has that answer. I believe it's already out and we are
Oh, is it?
already.
It is already out.
And we're
And
already
how-
on, yeah, we're
And how many under are we?
9.59.
Yeah, so right now we're at I believe 9.58 or somewhere in that range. We are waiting for word from EOHLC, which is formerly DHCD. They've been renamed, in case any of you didn't know. And as soon as we hear back for the units at 390 CJC, assuming that they will be accepted, we will then meet and actually be over our 10%.
Okay.
So we're really just waiting on word from them. I've reached out to them a couple times. Obviously, they're very busy and just haven't heard back.
Yeah, because I remember there was something where if we're gonna be over the 10%, no problem, but even if we just had some progress, we could get safe harbor because we did the housing production plan for like 1 year, but it sounds like we might be okay anyway. But it sounds like you guys are on top of it, so that was my only question, so all good.
Yeah, the plan was that if we weren't going to be able to apply for some units in any short period of time, we were going to get the production plan certified, but we're hoping that those will be approved very shortly.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we're with this, with the CJC being added, it gets us to, I think, 10.5,
Awesome.
somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah, so
So,
we'll be safe for a week.
so can I mention one other thing that I did not attend, but I did see the sort of readout on it. So I don't know how real it is, but there's some out of town developers trying to secure some land on North Main Street.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is an artist rendition of it. They had a public meeting with like 24 hours notice at the library. Apparently it was very well attended. The developers came in and made some comments about how the state was going to come over and do unfriendly, public housing in Cohasset, and that's why their projects would be approved. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention, Paul, for you. I'll get you what I know about the thing. Is it something you guys are following at all?
So we're not. So what happened was they kind of threw it all out there on Facebook, and got a lot of people kind of fired up. So we started getting a lot of emails saying, "What are you guys approving?" And no one's been in front of us at all. We haven't heard of anything other than what was on Facebook. I don't know that any of our members attended that meeting at the library. I know that we discussed it at sewer, that there's no sewer down there, so
Yeah.
they're going to have to go on to some sort of fancy septic. So they're going to be limited to what they can do based on the septic alone. But we haven't seen anything. I know that I had talked to the planning board about, what changes they were making to bylaws. And I don't know if any of what they're doing would affect what's going on down there. One of the things we wanted to make sure of is that, if there was going to be this high density housing, we talked about how it would affect the affordable housing aspect of it, to make sure that they were on site and not have the off site options anymore. So other than that, we haven't heard of anything on North Main.
Okay.
There was one property at the end of town. He wanted to put in 22 units,
That one.
and he didn't get very far with the select board, and the bylaws weren't changed in a manner that would allow him to do what he wanted to do. It was based on the whatever the T was putting in place for that high density housing. Our town was not, bylaws have not been changed enough for him to be able to jump onto that ruling and go in. So he disappeared for a while. We haven't seen him. The house that's currently there is rented, and we haven't heard of what he wants to do with the 22 units.
Okay. Okay, so we are our next meeting, Paul, is October the 11th. And some of these things that we're discussing here, we'd love to put on that agenda as well. And let's see if we can try to understand a little bit more about some of these other things floating around for the next meeting. If your calendar permits, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, no problem. I'll take a look at some updates for you between now and then, and kind of go from there. We're anxious to hear what I'll do is I'll reach out to NeighborWorks unless somebody else here is. I don't know, but I'll certainly give them a call.
Look,
That would be wonderful.
that would be great, but if you could also give the information to Cassandra, because I think a group at Town Hall is trying to develop potential partners around this One Pleasant
Okay.
thing, and so I think just so everybody's on, and I think that's through Michelle Leary maybe or somebody. So anyway, whenever you have a call with them, that would be great. If it's something that they're interested in, I think you can just share with Cassandra so we make sure the town people can, do their appropriate, reaching out as well.
Okay. Yeah, there's
It
several
came up in
agencies
a
out
br-
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it came up in a briefing we had recently, so
Okay.
we
Terrific.
said we'd help them with finding resources like that. Okay, anything else on these matters or Elm Street at the moment? No, okay, and then, so the next item for us, is the Habitat event. We had, just to sort of recap, we had discussed in the past, I think agreed upon, but apparently had not voted, our donation, which was tied to a letter agreement with Habitat. This is in regards to a $75,000 commitment out of our fund for the 808 Jerusalem Road property. And I think we just, in my mind, we're cleaning this up. This is something I think we'd all discussed. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so could I get would somebody like to propose that we, a motion? All
I
right,
propose that we fund, all right, I'll second it.
okay, so moved and seconded, and so any discussion? Okay, great. So do I have to roll call this type of thing, or can we just vote? Oh, roll call. Okay, great. So I'll take a roll call vote. So Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, I.
David Pfeiffer,
David Piper, aye.
Rob Jeffers,
Rob Jeffers, aye.
and Rob Henry.
Rob Henry, aye.
Ted Carr is an aye, so it's unanimous. Could you convey that, Cassandra?
Yes.
Okay,
we'll do that.
wonderful. Thank you so much. All right, that's great. So, just an administrative items. We have a couple of things. So as I mentioned, October 11th is our next potential day for scheduling. If you have items for the agenda, I think that would be great. Let us know. I think I'll talk to Steve, but I'll probably have some recommendations based on our discussion today. Things like North Main and some other things. We should probably have a little bit more of a robust discussion. Cassandra, if you, as you're sort of watching how the Pleasant Street thing progresses, is if there's any action we need to take on behalf of the town, let's have it all queued up for the October 11th meeting. And again, if the town needs something sooner than that, I think we could get together, but I think let's try to be, as ready as the town would need us to be for anything on that day. If that's okay with everybody. Okay, and we have minutes from our August 9th meeting. Does anybody have any questions about the meeting minutes?
Oh, just so grateful to Christine. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Christine.
Wonderful. Anybody want to move the minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes from August 9th,
Okay,
2023.
and Rob, moved by Cindy and seconded by Rob. That's wonderful. Okay, all those in favor?
Cindy
Aye.
Matheson, I.
Aye, okay, and David Pfeiffer,
David Piper, aye.
Rob Jeffers,
Rob Jeffers, aye.
Rob Henry,
Rob Henry, aye.
Ted Carr, aye. Okay, so those are done. And we have to approve an invoice.
So that's the invoice for your secretary, Christine Barraford.
Okay.
I can, if you need me to pull it up on screen, I can. I believe I attached it to the meeting invitation, but apparently the agenda didn't get on there somehow. So
No
I
problem.
just want to make sure you guys have seen it.
No, that's great. Anybody have any questions? I think it's very appropriate. No? Okay, so, I'll move we approve the invoice. Is there a second?
Which
Second.
is this?
This is for the person that helps us do the minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so it's moved and seconded. Just, do it again. Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, I.
David Pfeiffer,
David Pfeiffer, aye.
Rob Jeffers,
Rob Jeffers, aye.
Rob Henry,
Rob Henry, aye.
and Ted Carr, aye. All right, any other topics?
And Ted, I got, Cassandra, do we have to approve that invoice for 43L? Or that just goes through?
You do not have to approve that one only because you previously voted to expend up to
Right, that's right.
$10,000, so
Wanna
it's
make sure.
encompassed in that.
Is that, is that been paid already?
I did send it up to accounting. I don't know if they've sent a check yet, but they have.
There's a
received it.
delay, there was a delay in Tom getting me that invoice. I mean, those guys deserve to get paid, so I just want to make sure it's gonna go through.
Yep, I'm sure they're working on it as soon as they can.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Could we also, it would be great to know, maybe Rob and David, as you kind of get involved in the finances. How do the payments work I mean, are we, I know it's like, if it's financed, is there always cash around to pay things we're paying for? What do we need to, I guess, do on that? Is there anything, are we standing in the way of anybody getting paid? I guess is the question at the moment. Anybody have any thoughts on that one?
If I understand your question correctly, I don't think you're standing in the way of anybody getting paid. The invoice for 43 Elm, you had already voted as a group to expend the $10,000. And since the invoice came in at under that amount, well under, obviously, we just went ahead and, processed the company's W-9, and I gave the invoice to accounting to process. It does take them probably like a week or two just to get the information into the computer and the checks to be cut and sent out and whatnot. Christine Barraford's invoices, she sends them to me every couple months. And when they come in, I have you guys approve them just so that you guys are aware. And then as soon as I already have the invoice, so I'll send that up to accounting today, and same process. It'll probably take a week or two to get the checks out to her. Which is generally the process for any invoices that you guys have. The only ones that I've noticed have not been typical for you guys to approve, and I would, this is actually a great segue, I would like to have it become standard practice, is you to approve the invoices for town or your council. So moving forward, you'll probably see that I will share them with you and have you officially vote to approve them at a meeting. That way we can just have a record and everything is squared away.
I think that sounds great. Okay, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? No? Okay, so would anybody like to move that we adjourn?
I move.
I think that was Rob said yes. And there's a second. I'll just go around the horn again. Cindy Matheson,
Cindy Matheson, I.
David Pfeiffer,
David Pfeiffer, aye.
Rob Jeffers,
Rob Jeffers, aye.
Rob Henry,
Rob Henry, aye.
and Ted Carr, aye. Okay, Cassandra, thank you so much as always for everything. And we'll see you guys in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good.
Aye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bob
Thank you,
Henry, I'll
Ted.
give you a call in about 5 minutes.
Okay, fine,
Okay,
good,
bye.
thank you. Yep,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
bye.